Hello, this is Alan, welcoming you to the 1950th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline 24th of April 2014. The readers this week are Sonia, Jenny, Phil and myself, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Pree and Fernand Bugnon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local stories include Man Found Dead in the Park, Just Not Cricket, Youngsters Hunt for Eggs at Easter, Extravaganza, and green light expected for Town Hall development. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now Sonia will read the first item of local news.
Just Not Cricket. Residents hit for 6 as letter says club will not be liable for damage done to their property. Residents in Winchmore Hill are furious about a cricket club's refusal to compensate them for any damage done to their homes and cars by stray balls. Just over a week into the new season, a number of residents living in homes in Furze Lane, overlooking the main cricket ground at Winchmore Hill Sports Club, are up in arms over a letter sent by the club earlier this month outlining that it will not accept liability for damage caused by balls hit out of the ground. Megan Williams, 25, of Furze Lane, said, "Balls fly over and damage our properties and cars as the players are batting so close to our homes. The balls also fly onto the road, and when players come and collect them, people driving their cars have to push the brakes. It's dangerous. I think they should put a big fence up." Earlier this month, the club sent a letter to its neighbours explaining that a fence would have to be so unrealistically high to make a difference, and that another option, planting conifer trees, would take years to grow high enough to be of any help, and would obstruct the view of the grounds. A neighbour of Miss Williams said that his property's door, window and BMW convertible car had been damaged, but he had not carried out repairs because he feared his insurance premium would go up. And another neighbour told the Advertiser that last year he had found a cricket ball in his loft. It had landed there after smashing roof tiles. He added, "The club have refused to do anything about it, and I believe a small claims court would find in our favour, but I have not had the time to pursue legal action." In its letter, the sports club said it could not afford a compensation fund. Chairman Paul Chapman said the club sent the letter after taking legal advice and after meeting both Enfield Council and an insurance firm. Mr. Chapman said, "We understand the upset caused if a cricket ball has caused damage. There are financial constraints on the running of the club due to the high costs of looking after the grounds and facilities and providing sport for large numbers. Many of our neighbours would object to high fences, netting or restricted views. We will continue to look for a solution that has the agreement of all parties. We are more than happy to meet the residents further and discuss potential solutions."
It's just not cricket. More than £10,000 has been raised for a children's hospice following 2 days of Easter fun in Enfield. The event at Capel Manor in Bullsmore Lane attracted more than 2,100 to the park, where families were able to take part in a plethora of Easter activities. More than 4,500 eggs had been donated by people from all over the borough, and gave children the chance to take part in the biggest Easter egg hunt since the event began. A traditional egg and spoon race was also part of the entertainment. All proceeds will be donated to Noah's Ark Children's Hospice, which helps children from Enfield, Barnet and Haringey. Priya Singh, Community Fundraising Manager, said, "This year's event has been our best ever. We're truly overwhelmed by all the support we have received. In particular, I want to thank all those individuals and businesses, including Love Your Doorstep for donating Easter eggs, Rotary Club of Edmonton for organising and running the popular egg and spoon race, Skewbald Theatre for their imaginative theatre shows, the amazing Zoom Rockman for hosting 2 comic book workshops, and our fantastic volunteers and community supporters who helped set up and run stalls at the event. Thanks also to all those people who came along to the event. The money raised will ensure that Noah's Ark is able to continue to provide much needed support and services to local children and their families."
Proposals to turn Southgate Town Hall into flats were set to be approved by councillors last night. Officers of recommended Enfield Council's Planning Committee approved plans to convert the office building into 19 flats and for the construction of a new Part 4-storey block of 18 affordable homes with balconies behind the Town Hall in Green Lanes, Palmer's Green. In November, a deal was struck between the council and developer Hollybrook Homes to extend and convert the old Town Hall. The adjacent library will also be refurbished as part of the deal. But the proposals have been fiercely opposed by residents living in Palmerston Crescent, whose gardens face the site. Mother of 2, Jennifer Yanaris, 34, said, "They are not considering us as neighbours. The private gardens that we have are giving us a better quality of life, and it's rare in this area. But the residents in the new building will be overlooking us from their balconies, and we will have much more noise. It's going to bring down the value of our homes as well." The residents have been supported by Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows, who has called on the council to extend consultation on the scheme. He told the Advertiser, "New homes need to be built, but this is not the right place for it. The principal issue is that the council has given the green light for some affordable homes, but it represents a loss of a community asset. We are getting small change for selling the family silver. We should be getting much more from a building that is dedicated for community use. I believe they should have looked more seriously at options for a school there." The council has said that the scheme will provide much-needed affordable housing and give residents an improved library while retaining the original building. Asked how much the council had sold the site for, a spokeswoman said, "The signing of a contract to commence works at Southgate Town Hall by Hollybrook Homes is imminent. Until contracts have been completed for the purchase of the property, the amount that the building has been purchased for remains commercially sensitive. Building work is expected to begin in the summer and be completed in late 2015.
Police are continuing to search for the family of a man found dead in a North Enfield park a week after he was discovered in unexplained circumstances. Officers were called to hilly fields in Strayfield Road, North Enfield, Wednesday last week at 6:53 a.m. to reports of an injured man in the park. The 23-year-old foreign national was pronounced dead at the scene, and police are treating his death as unexplained. The fire brigade and London ambulance crews were also at the scene. Police who live close to the park have described their shock at hearing the news. Jordan Hall of Clay Hill said, "This is alarming news and not what I would expect from the area. I hope this is something we don't see more of in the future." A resident who asked not to be named and who lives in Strayfield Road behind St John the Baptist Church in Clay Hill said it was the first time she had heard of a death in the park. She said, This is the first time I have heard of such events happening in this part of the borough, and I'm utterly shocked. I regularly go to hilly fields with my grandchildren, and never have I heard of these scenarios taking place. A spokesman for St Luke's Church in Strayfield Road, adjacent to the park, admitted they were shocked to hear the news. He said, "We are shocked by this news. Any loss of life is regrettable." The church also admitted that it had not heard of any incidents of this nature taking place in hilly fields before. A fire brigade spokesman said, "We sent one fire engine to Strayfield Road at 9:36 a.m. to help assist police. We left the scene at 10:41 a.m. Police are continuing their investigations and no arrests have been made."
Labour councillors had their phones at the ready in preparation for a selfie when comedian and actor Eddie Izzard paid a visit to Enfield town. The renowned funny man and Labour Party member was given a whistle-stop tour of Enfield town by Enfield Borough Council leader Doug Taylor. Mr Izzard was showing his support for the current Labour Council that holds a 10-seat majority ahead of the local elections on May the 22nd. He said, "I am someone who has volunteered to come out and support Labour activists wherever that may be." The comedian donned red lipstick with EU and British flags on his fingernails and said that it was a great positive that the UK is part of the EU. He said, "I'm a big fan of Europe. I have done tours in French, German and Spanish. I will be pushing forward and saying there's a whole lot of money and business to be made in Europe. We shouldn't be running to the hills." He also went on to add that he could see himself one day standing as a Member of Parliament or running for the Mayor of London in 2020, but only if people will have me, he said. Councillor Taylor said, "We are delighted that Eddie has come to Enfield to help campaign for the Labour Party. He is an incredibly popular and funny man, but he is also a committed Labour activist who is keen to hear from residents and businesses about the hardships that they're facing under this callous Tory government. Don't forget that you'll be able to have your stay on May the 22nd.
Palmer's Green may soon boast its own clock tower, as council planning chiefs were set to approve plans for a new landmark last night. The black clock, which will have 3 faces and stand 5.5 metres tall, will be installed at the triangle at the junction of Alderman's Hill and Green Lanes. The Green Lanes Business Association, which applied to Enfield Council for planning permission, is hoping it will become a landmark that will draw more people to the area. Kostas Georgiou, chairman of the association, said, "The town of Palmer's Green was built in 1904, and we got the idea to celebrate the 110th anniversary of our area with this landmark. Palmer's Green needs a revamp, and I thought we must do something to mark the event. People know the triangle as a landmark, but with a clock it will be much better. I believe council planning officers are happy with it, and they have recommended it to be agreed. The clock comes 4 years after the chestnut tree, which stood in the triangle, had to be felled because it was dying. The clock's design is the result of collaboration between Mr. Georgiou, Mark Lever of the Enfield Business and Retailers Association, and graphic designer Karine Cox. The body of the tower was manufactured by Dave Plummer of Triangle Metalworks, which is based just around the corner in Green Lanes, while the clock has been made by the Hawkins Clock Company in Peterborough. The project has been funded through the council's Residents' Priority Fund. The Business Association received £25,000 in 2012, and Mr. Costas is considering spending money out of its coffers to paint some parts of the tower gold." Palmer's Green Ward Councillor, Bambos Sharamalombos, added, "The Business Association approached myself and other ward councillors about the plan some years ago, and we were happy to support it. The clock will be unique to the Palmer's Green area, and I think it will be a nice landmark, which will bring more people to come and shop in the area. I hope it goes ahead. Mr. Georgiou said if permission was granted, he was hoping the clock would be installed before the end of next month.
Pupils at a special school had the chance to get behind the wheel last week. Students over the age of 17 at Wesley School in Hazelbury Road, Edmonton, spent a sunny spring day practising in automatic and manual cars, testing their multitasking skills and driving theory. Parent Janet Beckles came up with the idea for trial driving lessons for Wesley pupils and approached the school's community and enterprise manager, Julian Holford, to see if it was possible. Mrs. Beckles, 50, said, "One of my friends is a driving instructor, and I asked him if he thought we could set something up. For the kids, it's about independence, making them feel confident about themselves. It's about being able to do something that everyone else says they can't." 10 pupils took part in the morning and afternoon sessions, which were run by the Hertfordshire Action on Disability charity, and were split into sections so that students could rotate and learn about different aspects of driving. While some worked on their theory and hazard perception, others had a practical session for about 45 minutes. Instructors were available to talk to parents about licensing, insurance, and lessons, and feedback were given to the pupils and parents at the end of the sessions. Mr. Holford, 53, is hoping that more sessions will be held over the summer. "It's important to create these kind of opportunities," he said. "I'm also working to try and set up a service which would be more about making new friends." The school's ethos is about independence and inclusion opportunities. Rhys Miller, 17, was thrilled at the chance to drive one of the Ford Fiestas. He is hoping to train as a motor engineer and said that if he passed his test, he would be able to drive his friends around. "I think it's all about learning new skills," Rhys said. "Hopefully, I'll be all right at driving. Turning the corners is quite hard, but it's a lot of fun."
A schoolgirl has been shortlisted for a Young Journalist Award by the international charity Amnesty International. Kira Griffin from Merry Hills Primary School in Bincote Road, Enfield, has made the top 3 in the Young Human Rights Reporter of the Year award. The 10-year-old has seen off more than 7,000 other entrants in Amnesty's Youth Awards. Her article was judged by a panel of editors, authors, and industry professionals, including Christy Watson and Sita Brahmachari. Kira's submission focused on Syria and the effect the conflict has had on the country's children. She wrote, "I feel that people often take the life they have for granted, that everyone lives like them. But not everyone does. Many people, young and old, don't live like us. They don't have the privileges we do. So many people in Syria have had to flee their homes, but they can't go back. They don't have that choice." Author Miss Brahmachari said she was particularly impressed with Kira's entry. "The beginning was incredibly strong, and the writer really got inside of the situation," she said. "I could really feel the voice of the author from the beginning to the end. This article followed a very cohesive and heartfelt argument. It touched me." Kate Allen, director of Amnesty International UK, added, "Journalism plays such a key role in exposing human rights abuses across the world. Amnesty is committed to encouraging the journalists of tomorrow, and I am delighted to see so many young people pick up a pen and show a real interest in the world around them. The talent on display this year has been truly exceptional. It will be a hard choice to pick the eventual winner." The awards are supported by the Guardian newspaper, photography charity Photo Voice, and secondary school magazine Sec Ed. The overall winners will be announced at an awards ceremony at Amnesty International UK's headquarters in East London next Wednesday.
A scheme to help vulnerable people save money on their energy bills and reduce carbon emissions has been launched in the borough. Associated Response, a heating and plumbing maintenance business in Riverside Gardens, Enfield Town, is taking part in the ECO Affordable Warmth Scheme to find ways to assist those suffering from fuel poverty. They include installing a new energy-efficient boiler or insulating homes for free. In 2009, the Department of Energy and estimated that 14.5% of households in the borough were in fuel poverty, compared to 13.3% in London. Associated Response suggests that fuel costs for a semi-detached 3-bedroom property could be cut by as much as £1,000 if energy improvements were made. Anyone on income support or who claims pension credit is eligible for a grant from an energy company, provided he or she is able to produce a letter from the Department for Work and Pensions. David O'Neill, 42, who deals with customer services for Associated Response, said that there had been a very positive reaction from those who had benefited from the government scheme, which, he said, is part of a push by the European Union to reduce carbon emissions. Mr. O'Neill added, a lot of people, particularly pensioners, don't realise what they are entitled to. You can't survive without hot water and heating. This project involves less paperwork and less bureaucracy, and the grant you receive is based on the size of the property. Anyone wishing to learn more about the scheme should call Associated Response on 020 8366 6420 or email arlco, that's ARLCO, at yahoo.co.uk.
With a successful career as a journalist and best-selling book under his belt, then a 30-something Ian Probert thought he was ready to ascend to greatness. But on the inside, the Islington father of one was slowly and unknowingly dying. It started with him gaining more than 3 stone, and over almost 20 years progressed into him spending days on end in bed, being unable to write, with random screaming noises coming from his throat, doctors saying he needed a hip replacement, and finally regular fainting spells. The worst moment was when he awoke to find he had passed out against a hot radiator and had 3rd-degree burns on his back. But the doctors were unable to find a cause, and Ian admits he sank so low as to contemplate suicide. Then one day, a friend casually asked if he had a thyroid imbalance. After a simple blood test, Ian was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, a disease where the thyroid does not produce enough hormones, affecting every organ in the body, but which can be treated simply by taking medication every day. Now, after 18 years of hell, Ian is 90% recovered and has finally been able to complete his 2nd book, Johnny Nothing, the story of a boy who inherits £1 million, only to have it stolen away by his wicked parents, which has already reached the top 10 of Amazon's children's fiction list. It is just 18 months since he began taking the medication, but Ian says the fog lifted almost immediately, and he is able to look back and see with hindsight what was happening to him during those darker days. I became very good at starting things and never finishing, and thought I had a momentous case of writer's block. My wife said I had lost my mojo, but what I was feeling was the unbelievable fatigue it causes. I would get up at 9 a.m. and take my daughter to school, and then go back to sleep until 3 p.m. when I had to go and pick her up. Originally from Burnley, he moved to London to pursue his career as a writer, working for publications such as The Guardian, and had his first book, Internet Spy, published aged 33. Now, 51, he is trying to spend as much time as possible with wife Laura and daughter Sophia, 11, and also reignite his literary career. I wouldn't say I feel angry, says Ian. I feel frustrated because my career was going so well at an age when I could have capitalised on it, and now I have got to make up for the lost time. This is probably the quickest I have ever written anything, he says, of penning Johnny Nothing in just a few months, but the ideas were in my head for a long time.
A pickpocket who preyed on elderly people using buses has been jailed for 6 years. Constantin Goniaciu, 49, stole large quantities of money from vulnerable women as they travelled on buses in a series of crimes in the past 2 years. Goniaciu worked with a 43-year-old man called Petrozor Ionita to steal £800 from a 79-year-old on the 121 bus in Hertford Road. He then faked a heart attack to distract the woman as she was getting off the bus and stole the money. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of theft and was sentenced on April the 4th to 3 years imprisonment for each offence. The sentences will run consecutively. The thief had committed a similar offence in South London when he stole £500 from an 80-year-old's bag. Ionita, 43, was previously given a 7-month sentence in March. Chief Superintendent Sultan Taylor of Safer Transport Command said, "This is a great result which has seen 2 pickpockets who targeted the elderly receive lengthy jail terms, as well as being ordered to pay back the money stolen." The Safer Transport Command, with its partners Transport for London, has a primary aim to safeguard the travelling public from criminals and to keep them safe while using London's bus system.
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over, and start side 2, and you'll be hearing it from us again over there. Bye for now.